of it is just kind of just kind of reminding ourselves about like just respect and about, you know, just reiterating, you know, one voice and just kind of like, yes, we are all learning. Like, not everyone knows everything there is to know about rugby, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of reminding that we're all new, we're all, you know, still learning, we all have much to learn.
I think the minute I stepped on a practice field for rugby, the calling happened.
An 8-year plan to be on the team, and I was in it within 2 years.
Don't wait until you are a pro to be a pro, right?
Like, I like doing something, stopping and learning from it.
Like, it just looked like it was a heavy hit.
To give up, it's not up.
You know, that's the first time I played like professionally.
I'm making rugby money. How can I make money outside of it?
And there was 2 Scottish guys, and they said, "Oh, you're here for the movie."
Rugby is a sport where that's often coupled with actually having a good time.
He looked at me and he says, "You guys are off."
Grow Rugby, Grow Rugby, Grow Rugby, Grow Rugby, Grow Rugby, Grow Rugby, Grow Rugby.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another great episode of Grow Rugby. My name is GiftTime Belu, and this is the show where we speak to people about the opportunities that they have found, created, or taken advantage of via rugby. And guys, I know that you guys have been able to support, and if you guys enjoy what we have, please hit that like button. And of course, we want to make sure that you're getting this every week. Throw yourself over and touch that subscribe button and knock out the notification so you get updated every time that we get a chance to post, because we do a little bit of everything, but we want to make sure we're doing it for you and your value. Guys, we have an amazing guest this weekend. I can't deny it. She is part of the Prairie View A&M women's, one of the founders for the Prairie View A&M women's team. She has played phenomenally at the HBCU Rugby Classic and was just so awesome to talk to. So much energy, so much passion, not just as a rugby player, but as an HBCU soon-to-be alumni, an HBCU student, and as an educator. Like, you guys are gonna learn. Like, it's just this level of excitement you can't make up. And she was, I love talking with Karimah. What can you say? Like, you know, whenever a person's got it, they got it. So I hope you guys enjoy this one. I know there's a lot of icing on the cake. There's a lot of diamonds that's dropped here. And of course, the thing that makes it most impressive is the excitement and love whenever it comes to being a part of a historically black college and university. And I continue every time we get another historically black college and university. Shout out to Howard University and Kirill Guthrie, who you can hear talk about episode 48, creating the John G. Robertson and Clive Sullivan Foundation, and being able to raise money to develop HBCU programs, particularly at Howard and within the DC area. But you know, we're starting to get them, and you know, they will be on here too, because we want to make sure we are following all the stories. It's all the stories. We want to make sure that there is a documentation of this progression in all senses of the way. So you guys learn something, they gain something, we all learn collectively, and that's the best thing you could ask for in any situation. So without further ado, I'm not going to hold you guys off. Please enjoy the lovely, the awesome Karimah Prince.
Grow Rugby, 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 Grow Rugby.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another great episode of Grow Rugby. My name is GiftTime Belu, and we got an amazing V, incredible I, and the person of persons, and I mean this in the realest way, Karimah Prince of Prairie View A&M Rugby Women, the first, can we make it official one more time, the first HBCU women's rugby team of all time. Not just of the year, not just of HBCU. I'm talking about all time, beginning to end. We're getting it in. Karimah, thank you so much for popping in through this.
Of course, of course.
So, look, obviously, as we were talking before, the first time getting to watch you guys coming to the HBCU Rugby Classic, even before this, whenever Raheem Vital and I think actually even early stages, and Rico Spence Brown had told me about you guys a couple years back, like 2019. But you guys were just at the really early, like I think like 3 or 4 girls at that point. And then to see you guys like literally launch out and really like pop up to the scene now. And I'm going to say pop up to the scene because other than that, I don't think there's any footage. So we're going to say popped up to the scene now. And to be able to represent was one of the most exciting things about doing this event for me, because between you guys, seeing Roots women, and then being able to continue to redevelop and see the youth side, and of course everybody, but you guys particularly, I was happy, and the results proved out to be worth the wait. And you guys really put some competition out there. Like y'all are some tacklers. Y'all.
I try. Like even in practice, I was like, I know, because most of my girls, they didn't come from like super contact sports, you know,
right.
Like myself, volleyball, some of them basketball, you know, not super contact. So I was just like trying to reiterate, like, you know, there might be a girl my height, but she weighs 100 pounds. There might be a girl 6 foot and she weighs 250. Like, so I was just like, just be ready for that. And I was just trying to stress. And I remember getting there and the girls were kind of nervous. I was like, you know what, I'm nervous too. And actually seeing, you know, all the work that we had put in, you know, the practices, you know, all of it going into I was really proud of them and how they just like, even like I said, the quiet ones, you know, the more passive ones, just making those tackles, you know, running hard. I was just very, very happy.
You know, and it's one of those things, like, it's legitimately, especially coming off of a pandemic too, and this being, I'm sure this was one of the, I know you said it's one of the first games for a lot of the girls, but talking about even overall, probably some of the first games to play in a year or so. So to be able to keep a team and even field a team after all that time and being new, so you kept the excitement, like, what, having that kind of loyalty and knowing that the girls are that excited to be able to, the women, let me call it properly, the women are that excited to be able to play. Like, what was that for you, knowing that you guys even were capable of putting this together?
I think a lot of the work that we put in was also off the field, because a lot of us are very close, and we like to say we're more of a family than, you know, like teammates, and all very close. So it was it's easier to get them to show on the field when you have that bond. So, you know, making sure that, you know, over COVID and whatever, and when we all first got sent home last March, about like, you know, when we get back, this is the game plan. This is what we're going to do, you know, just really making sure that on and off the field that we were preparing ourselves, because, you know, then we didn't know if we would even have a game, let alone you know, something as big as the HBCU Classic. And I remember when we got the call and they were like, because I had gone 2 years ago, you know,
I remember.
I had gone, you know, and it was the guys playing. Still great experience. I loved it. I love watching it. But I remember when we were asked to play, I was like, wait. Like us, like, you know, and they were like, yeah. I was like, say yes right now. I was really excited, because I was like, this is the first, because we had some games lined up before COVID, but, you know, they were lost. So that was disappointing. But to finally get one was really exciting for me and the girls. And it gave us something to motivate us, because, you know, we're all in school, so it was kicking our butts, but it just gave us something to motivate us. So that was great.
Dude, I love that. You know, so everybody mutually excited. And that's what you want, and especially to be able to have that pinpoint. So, but let's backtrack a little bit, because I want to get to know about you, and then obviously how it turned into Prairie View A&M. So I usually ask the guests, as anything goes, you know, how'd you first get started in rugby?
Okay, so growing up, I wanted to play football so bad, but my parents, you know, me being my little tomboy self, you know, they're like, no, we don't know how you feel. So they kind of, you know, track, you know, so I was good at it, but I was like, okay, I want some more contact. So I ended up playing volleyball, and I ran track in high school. And then when I got to PV, I actually played club volleyball for a little bit. Like, I don't know, I'm not feeling it. It's not.
You weren't getting that contact high that you were looking for.
Yeah, for me. And I was like, I'm not just, you know, super small for track. So I was like, I need something more. And it was my sophomore year, actually, in the beginning of my sophomore year, I actually had a teammate. I actually played, casual volleyball with him sometimes in the recreation center. And he had mentioned it. And I was like, I don't know anything about rugby, And I was kind of like hesitant because I was just like learning a whole new sport. I was like,
of course.
That's a lot. And I was like, sometimes I feel like I'm a slow learner. So I was like, okay. And so I think it was an informational meeting I was just looking at clubs and stuff because I was like, I need to get into something, need to beef up my resume.
Right.
I didn't really do much my freshman year. I was like, I want to, get more out there my sophomore year. And I saw the table and I was just like, hi. Da, da. And my friend at the time, she was like, I'm going to sign up. I was like, you go, girl. You sign up.
I believe in you. Not gonna be me, but I believe in you.
I was like, no, you have to do it with me. I'm nervous. It was actually her first year. She transferred from another school. She's like, please, you have to go with me. I'm nervous. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna be a good friend. And so I was like, fine, I'll go with you. So we go. I was like, these are some cool people. Like, I thought, like, I was like, this is my tribe. And so, one practice turned into two.
Of course.
Got way more involved and then started going to games with them and like helping them out and then, practices. And I was just like, this is pretty cool. Like I can do this. I can do this. And it was like, you don't have to be the absolute fastest on the field. And I was just like, I appreciate that. And it's like, you get all types of like bodies in rugby too. So it's solely this or solely that. So it was nice to feel included.
Yo, no. And it's funny because for me, even whenever I started, like, for me, the community aspect was what ended up selling me the most, the culture of it. Because on the field, you love the game because there's already field. But, I had football. So it was like, okay, I get contact. I can feel that. But then whenever you start to feel like you said, it's like, oh, yo, this is my tribe here. Yo, this is what I've been wanting. Like, and I started after college. So it was just like, oh, I get to be in college still, but like without the homework involved. Like this is the same, but we get to hit into athleticism and we get to enjoy all the bit plus travel. So it was just like, all right, I can work with this. This works into my feeling. So for you, like, you're working within these two cultures. You're working within the rugby culture. You're working within the HBCU culture. Two that I will always say are probably a more natural fit than people give credit for, but naturally do not know that much about each other because it's still early. Right. So for you, as an HBCU attendee, like what actually got you wanting to go to Prairie View A&M first? Because the rugby doesn't even exist typically in the mind, especially in the Black community.
For sure. I actually sort of had an idea what rugby was before PV, but I grew up in Austin, and so the school I went to was actually pretty white dominated. So I was, used to that like culture in Austin. I like to say it's kind of like the island in Texas where it's like
the hippies without.
Yeah, like not like the rest of Texas, but it's like with the hippies, keep Austin weird, all of that vibe, juicing and stuff. So it was different, but I was just like, I want a change. I was like, it's not doing what I needed to do. And I remember when I was looking at schools and stuff, I looked at some PWIs, but when I started looking at more HBCUs, because my aunt and my dad were trying to like really push, even my mom, because my mom actually used to be the dean of students at Houston-Tilton. It's a HBCU,
nice.
In Austin.
Yep. And
so I kind of grew up seeing that and that culture and, just that vibe. And so I was like, you know what, let me take a look. And I remember my dad was whispering in my ear about Prairie View because he actually went for undergrad for a bit.
I see. So low-key alumni. I'm assuming he transferred at some point?
Because he wanted to go up north and, pursue.
But it's still in the blood. That's the starting, that's the foundation.
And a lot of my family on my dad's side, they're from Houston. So a lot of them, Prairie View, big. Prairie View and TSU, big.
Right.
So he was whispering, and I remember in high school, like,
Oh no.
I was like, where is it? Prairie View's where? I grew up in the city.
Not about this outskirt country life. Like it's Houston, but not really Houston.
Right. I was applying to schools. I actually was like ready to go. I have like family in New Jersey, so I was ready to just, go pretty far. And my junior year and part of my senior, I actually ended up getting pretty sick. And so I remember when I was making that decision to, pick schools, I was like, actually, I kind of just changed my whole idea of like, I actually don't think I want to go super far. I want to be closer to immediate family just in case it happened. And I remember I was like, UT is a little too close. But I was like, that's 2 hours away. I was like, you know what? Let me go on a chance. It looks like they can give me something that I'm looking for.
Right.
So I remember at first I was a little hesitant when I first got here, but they have this thing called Panther Camp your freshman year. And I'm kind of the more introverted. I can be extroverted, but I'm more of the introvert. Like, you have to talk to me in order for me to talk to you.
You need somebody else to help start charging up the energy, and then once it gets going, you're good to go.
And so I was in the corner, and I was just, nervous because I didn't know anybody. Everyone from my high school didn't go to PV. I had no one really close to me. So I was nervous. It was basically like me starting all the way over. And, just me, colored hair, felt a little bit out of place because, Austin, everyone, when I say, oh, I live in Austin, they'll be like, oh.
It makes sense.
So that's what really sold me about, again, PV's more of a family because it's not a super big school.
Right.
But the sense of community and how quickly they're willing to, like, help out and, like, just take you in. Like, I remember being like, hey, I'm a vegetarian. I don't know what I would do about my meal plan. They took me themselves to go, help me out and figure out my housing. And what really sold me. And slowly but surely, I was like, I love my school. Like, I really, really do. And it just going from being super hesitant to like, I don't know if that's where I want to be to this is where I'm meant to be it was really great.
It's always interesting because it'll always happen, especially when it comes to orientation time. Like whenever you start to actually find that first set of students that you connect and you're like, okay, all right, we got something here. And then whenever you're like looking around campus, you're like, all right, I feel it looks good, it's straight. Then you get to that food part. And I think there's something about once you hit the food, regardless of whatever it is, like once you're like, yo, the food is working here for me and you guys are working with me on this, like there's a bond that connects into it. And then all the culture kind of sifts into it. I remember I was talking with Matt. Man, I forgot his last name, but also played for PV as well. And he was telling me that like the thing on the hill that you guys do every Wednesday, he was like, I got to go see that, and that was the big sell for me. Like, so for you, like whenever you were seeing like these cultural elements, like was this part of that okay roundabout, or did that come after you got on campus for a while?
Yeah, it pretty much started almost immediately for me because, again, growing up seeing, my mom working at HT and, kind of seeing the similarities, but also seeing the differences about how, like, just prideful people are to go to PV. And, like, again, like, the Wednesday thing is called Hump Day or Hump Night. Right. And so just seeing how many people come out, I'm just like, this is really different. And coming from, high school where everyone, it was just not the same vibe. I was like, what? Like, I was just really just taken back. I was like, wow, like, this is just so different from what I was used to. And it was really fun for me because it was like, not only, going from, going to college or whatever, and, living by yourself.
Right.
Not feeling like you were doing it alone. Of like, having those friends and like where I lived my freshman year, basically some of my best friends lived right next door to me.
Nice.
So that was great too. And my freshman year was also when Hurricane Harvey started. So we started actually a week later. So we had an extra week to kind of like bond with each other. So my freshman year was a unique experience.
Hey guys, I just want to take a quick moment to talk to you about the Rugby Outlet Mall. Now, I know you guys have heard me talk about this many times in the show before, typically in the intro, but I wanted to really make sure to get your focus on it because the Rugby Outlet Mall is not just the commerce hub for GiftTime Rugby, but it is an area where we want to be able to create the movement and the symbolic elements that add to the movement. The Rugby Outlet Mall is here so that we can have something that not just to have for the field, but more importantly to be able to have as a regular lifestyle. Because as you know, rugby is not just a sport. It's a whole way of life. It is a movement. And we have everything moving from cultural to your pop culture items like our Rugby Zon shirts and sweaters, as well as representing for the culture as we continue to develop the HBCU Rugby Classic. And we want to continue to support these things because it only grows the sport overall. We are continually growing to be able to make sure that we're connecting with you on a personal level as well as a rugby level. And for you guys that are listening to the podcast and listening to this show, want to let you know that you are going to get 20% off all gear that is under the category of GiftTime Rugby Network and the HBCU Rugby Classic. That is basically the entire store. And all you need to use is promo code GROW Rugby, GREAUX Rugby. And with that, you guys will get 20% off any clothing that is in the store as of right now. And of course, we're always building up more and more each time. But we want to make sure that you are able to symbolize your rugby faithfulness to the rest of the world and let them know that there is an opportunity to be able to develop, to grow, and to get better each and every time in this sport. So guys, I hope you guys check it out. Definitely go, and you guys can go to www.rugbyoutletmall.com. That is rugbyoutletmall.com. Guys, you're not going to want to miss one bit of this. Now let's get back to it. Yo, you know what's funny? I had the same thing happen my freshman year. I was in Florida, so I ended up going to University of South Florida, but we ended up getting hit or threatened by 3 hurricanes that year. All of them missed. I started to assume that there was, and it felt bad because like everywhere that I was staying at either was at threat or got hit by a hurricane. So like it was the same year that Katrina hit, and then we had like the ones that hit New Orleans, that hit Miami. They actually like went towards Tampa, and then they were like, no, we're gonna leave it alone and we're gonna go hit Miami. Do it again. No, we're gonna go hit Alabama, and then we're gonna give you a little bit of a heavy shower, but it's not gonna be too bad. But in that time, you know, obviously school gets a little bit limited, and then you get to be in the dorms. And like whenever you have that lack of stress of, you know, I don't have to go to classes, we don't have to do homework, so all we're doing is just cutting up inside here. Like it was real. And no, legitimately, the basis of my best friends from college came out of that freshman dorm experience, and then it just kind of spread. We added people in, but those ended up being our base set from there.
Yeah, pretty much the same for me. Like a lot of PV is big on nursing school, so most got like people that I was with my freshman year actually are in nursing school right now, and our nursing school is actually like in Houston, so I don't see them as much as I used to. But yeah, most of my best friends right there.
It's all still connect, even if they're crazy and doing nursing.
Yes, and they're like, "What are you doing now?" And every time they're like rugby, they're like, "I see that." From high school, asked me, they're like, "Rugby? I see that." They're like, "You didn't look like a volleyball girl."
So, you know, you talk about, you know, obviously your freshman year, it basically was an acclimation period, but your sophomore year is whenever you started to find sports and doing more stuff in that. So whenever you obviously and you're doing mostly intramural sports, correct? Or varsity? Right. So whenever you found rugby and you started connecting with the guys. So I know like 2018, whenever they first came to the HBCU Rugby Classic, it was almost, I think they were there, but the girls team wasn't even really, it was just kind of like, we could possibly do it, but I remember it wasn't a thought. So you were with them at that time, correct?
I was with them, what was that, 2 years ago? So last time we played when Morehouse was still there.
Right. So okay, so 2019. So 2018 they weren't there yet. So for you, you know, you're watching this process, you're watching them play. So what was your first opportunity to just grab onto the ball and jump into a practice?
I think it was more of I can watch, but I can play, right?
Right.
So it came from okay, I need to see it in order to do it. Like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And I remember just kind of remembering when we weren't having like games or whatever, but I would just be watching. I was like, I'm not satisfied with this. So we would like kept pushing, like, hey, like when we get the numbers, or even if we don't have the numbers, you know, talking to a team about a friendly scrimmage, and, you know, just getting so we on the field. So just kind of me not only wanting to watch, but wanting to participate.
Of course, you know. So you're setting up and you guys are participating. Where are you guys finding the new girls? Because obviously it seemed like it was just you and your friend at first. So how'd you guys start finding more and more of the girls?
Honestly, it came down to just me and the team just kind of like basically harassing people. Be like, you look athletic. You know, like stuff like that. Or like in the rec, I'd be like, what are y'all doing? What sport did you play? You know, stuff like that. Or when I would go play volleyball or something in the rec, like, are y'all interested? Or just kind of stirring up conversations about like, they'll be like, or if there was like, you know, any nerves, I'd be like, it's not that bad. You know, just kind of like trying to reel them in. Or just come out to a practice if you like it. Cool. If not, no harm, no foul. So just kind of really just, sometimes we would lose girls, you know, but that happens with anything.
Part of the process.
Yeah. But, you know, just getting the, you know, 10 girls that we have now and just them sticking, you know, it means a lot, because it has been hard, you know, in the past 2-3 years trying to get girls, not only to get them out on the field, but getting them to stay, because, you know, like, ooh, that's too aggressive. That's, you know, they hear football without pads, are like, I'm trying to keep on my teeth.
Right. It's like, that's what a mouth guard is for. Come on, guys.
Tell it like, well, if you tackle right, you won't get as hurt. Like, tell him, be like, okay, come, you know, push them in the right direction. But the girls are, you know, just very, very happy that they continue to stay with us.
No, that's awesome. You know, one thing that we've always, you know, it's been an interesting process of trying to continue to develop this, especially within the women's side, is the question of the myth of rugby versus the reality of it. And, you know, it's already one thing that within the Black community trying to step outside the white boy sport kind of concept, which I feel like we're starting to disseminate that kind of portion out. But then, and you don't tell me if I'm wrong, but I think within the HBCU culture, women are typically labeled into either the sororities or to go to most of the, what we say, the generic sports. So I think where there's always been that initial difficulty within women to say, let's go start playing rugby, unless there's an innate curiosity like yourself or your friend. But then you have the cultural element that's in it that almost seems like it's a hard, like a little bit of a wall to even jump over.
Yeah, for me, it was like, I already was used to like it being like labeled as like a white sport, of like coming from volleyball and that. And I went to literally 2 Black girls on the varsity. So that wasn't super new to me. So though it was, you know, a white dominated sport, seeing people who look like me wanting to, you know, be a part of it was just, that sold me in itself. But for just kind of when I tell people I play rugby, they kind of like raise their eyebrow. They're like, you play rugby? I'm like, yeah, like I'm not like one of these, you know, super prissy. I was like, it's all fine and good if you know, want to play. If you don't, cool. If, you know, it's not everybody's cup of tea, but if it is, all you have to do is try, and you might, like me, end up loving it.
No, and that's what it is. And sometimes it's just that easy. Or not, let me use the word. Wrong word is not just that easy. That's simple. You know, but it does become a choice for you. You said that you were kind of more naturally introverted with the ability to become more extrovert. So to step into the range of being a recruiter, was this something that felt a little bit out of place for you, or was this something that you were like, I'm used to this, you know, I can work in this level?
Yeah, it was, for me, I've always been more on the quiet side, and I've always been the person who was okay with being a follower, not in a negative way, but just like like if you just let me know what needs to be done and it'll get done. So
I got you.
So I've always been kind of okay with that. And so from going from that and that being me super shy, quiet, to now I'm in, a captain position. I'm e-board. I was like, okay, this is kind of a lot for me. And I remember Trey Carter having a conversation with me and was like, look, you can do it. You have the ability to do it. It's just, you have to break out your shell. And he was like, you have to, what you're talking about. It's not a matter of you don't, it's just, you just need a little bit more to just, let people know, what you're talking about. So it's having to come up my shell. Like, I have a lot to say. It's just a matter of me saying it and, that communication. And actually, Prairie View, another thing that has helped me with is a lot of my public speaking and, being a little bit more outspoken. And so that has, just being keyboard and being a captain has really helped me with that. And just, kind of coming out my shell a little bit more.
No, and I think that's awesome. It was one thing. So I went out to Southeast Asia and we had a chance to watch, see a lot of nonprofits working within the community. And one place I always love mentioning is about Cambodia, because Cambodia is not a place that you naturally think has rugby. Right. But the organization is one called Kapachia Balap. They work really specifically with girls rugby. And you would see these small Cambodian girls, 10, 11, 12 years old, and you'd think nothing. You'd be like, okay, it's dainty. They're gonna try, but it's whatever. When I tell you these were some of the most aggressive, baddest, like tacklers and aggressive like rugby players I'd ever seen. And I was like, this is amazing because of the level of, there's something about being able to know that you can make contact with somebody that makes you a lot more fearless in other things. And as a result, they were telling us like the what's the word? The motivation and the vision and the ambition of these girls had lifted from what was going to be a traditional, like, oh, we get married, we stay in the home, blah, 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 to like, we want to work, we want to be able to do these things, we want to travel. And there was this confidence boost that goes along with it, with being able to play. It was something that I was like, this is what we call culture changing, right, for you. So like, even for you, whenever you're talking about like being able to step outside the shell and just even the public speaking, have you seen it even resonate in other actions that you might not have known, like going back home and people are like, yo, you really out here like this? Like, what? You seem different.
Yeah. So like my mom and my dad, they kind of always, and my brother kind of always knew I had a lot to say, because at home it was like, don't mess with me. But then in public, they'd be like,
like, where's all this energy?
Right. I remember my mom saw the biggest change in me. I had got an internship actually that summer right after I had started playing rugby, teaching with Freedom School. And I remember she came to be a guest for our read aloud, and she saw me with my kids and talking to them, and she was just like, wow. Like, she was like, I've never seen you like just be so comfortable talking in a group full of people and just seem just so confident. So because before I just super stage fright, like I used to play the violin. Just I would have a whole, like
panic attack. Just
okay, after this, and after this. And she was just like, you just seem so much more poised. Nice. And it just has helped a lot. And just, again, the whole community and family thing has just really helped in feeling like, if I get tackled or something happens to me, someone's, and the first people I look if I need something is my team, consider them like some of my greatest friends. And we always talk about like our futures and like, oh, when we do this and then we do that, it's going to be, that's always fun.
Yo, that's what it's supposed to be about. Like, it's like, let's envision this. Like, what's this next level that we're going to? Right. Let's go. You talk about still getting a little side-eyed on campus, but you guys are bringing people together. And I know, with the guys, they had started leading away. Now with you, with the women, what do you guys feel like how the administration has been able to take rugby? Because I've heard positive things that the administration has been pretty embracing of PVMU rugby.
Because a lot of the time when we tell them like, oh yeah, about rugby, they're like, oh yeah, the men's. I'm like, no, wait, we have a women's team. They're like, really? I'm like, yeah, So they're very welcoming when it comes to that. And like when I'll talk, sometimes I'll bring it up to professors. Like I remember for this weekend, I had like sent out emails letting them know, like, hey, like I'm going to be, if it's okay if I get some work a little bit early, like just so I can work, so I can, not worry about it.
Right.
And they were just like, that is so cool. Like I had no idea. And so just getting that support, I think actually one of my professors donated to for us to get there. So that was great.
That's
too.
Awesome.
Yeah. That's
so awesome. And look, the more that you get the campus involved, it becomes much more of a real entity. Not to say it's not real, but real to everybody else, because you guys become more and more established in that element. Mm-hmm. You talked about how you guys were able to stick together throughout 2020. Obviously, 2019, you guys are really starting to see a little bit of a turnover and looking forward to that 2020 spring season and ready to burst out. COVID hits, school gets let out, you guys have to go your separate way. What was it that you guys were doing that helped you maintain the connection throughout this COVID pandemic break?
Yeah, Corey, quarantine rough for us all because we were all used to like hanging out with basically seeing each other multiple times a week, so we'd all go to someone's house, we went from that to like, a lot of us went home and it would be like we would FaceTime each group FaceTime. I remember I started getting into TikTok, so I'd send them my TikTok videos. I'd be like, look what dance I learned. And, just all sending videos and FaceTiming each other. And so, because we all had our, our own struggles with it. And just them supporting us supporting each other and just being really helpful. Like, hey, check in. How's your family doing? Just really like more than just like physically, how are you doing mentally? And just, doing those check-ins, it was really helpful.
Nice. Again, it goes back to like you said, that family feeling. Like this isn't just my teammate, this isn't the people we play with, this isn't just bond through struggle, but we literally are bonding because I genuinely love you. I genuinely like you over here. Mm-hmm. How has the connection been with the rest of the rugby community outside of PVMU? Have you guys been able to talk with Hark or Houston United or any of those women involved?
Not necessarily, just because of COVID, it's been kind of just like wonky and trying to like find. We were in communication with UTSA's team a little bit, and a little bit, but it's just because of COVID. We get a lot of no, not right now, because they're not really having a season, which is understandable. Right. I'm not against them, but just kind of really preparing, and most of this year has been a lot of preparing of what we're going to do when we are able. Trying to make those connections, but when just taking off running by the time we come back in the fall. So just and actually being like, okay, now we know it's like in the game, so we're not going to need so much of a crutch or so much help of like we can handle a little bit more than we could before.
And that's what it is. Like you just need little by little, right? It's at least like the vision has now been, the picture has now been created. It's like, all right, now we can go fill in the blanks on this and really fit into our own. You talked about being a basically player coach within this element. So how does that process work? Because I know a lot of people in the rugby community are now like, oh, we want to be able to help PVMU. We want to be able to help with coaching. But up to this point, and again, the results kind of show that you guys have been fairly efficient with what you guys are trying to do. So for you, how has that process been? What is the coaching? How is it that you guys do your training? Kind of run me through that.
A lot of it is just kind of reminding ourselves about like just respect and about, just reiterating, one voice and just kind of like, yes, we are all learning. Like, not everyone knows everything there is to know about rugby, right? Mm-hmm. Just kind of reminding that we're all new, we're all, still learning, we all have much to learn, and just reminding the team that we all have to be coachable. Even the people who are, trying to lead, we all have to, learn from each other and have that space where it's not, oh, I'm telling you what to do, you listen. It's more of like, hey, y'all, this is what needs to be done, you know,
Right.
fix it. And just, you know, just having that sense of like, again, family, but also being like, this is what, you know, it's a family, but it's also business, because
Right.
we, you know, we have a goal that we want to accomplish. So I think that a lot of the time, me having the IQ that I have of me wanting to pass it on because I'm about to leave, and you know, being basically one of the only original girls from
that first two.
Hey everybody, this is just the break train sending out a personal little video diary to all you people out there, where I am going to document me riding most of the way between Singapore and Tokyo for the 2019 Rugby World Cup. Number one is because it's part of my business. I do Rugby Lovers Guide to Asia. Number two is I want to bring a lot of exposure to the rugby clubs and the rugby NGOs and charities. Also, on a personal level, I just want to break the funk I've kind of felt I've been into for the last 10 years.
So for the next 12 months, I poured myself into this Singapore to Tokyo campaign, but it still wasn't enough. I needed help, and it came from Louisiana.
We in Singapore, baby!
Gift from GiftTime Rugby USA is a extroverted tour de force.
Say hi to my people out there.
Which makes up for my social shortcomings.
This place is unbelievable. No! It's not just it's like
what's he supposed to do?
Morons, a bunch of morons.
Guys, picture with me. Picture. Australian. G'day, mate. You can use my phone. But what unites us is a hunger for adventure.
Off to KL, Kuala Lumpur.
Woo! Gift, where are we?
We're in
Mount Fuji, baby!
Our love of Asian rugby culture.
1, 2, 3, Central!
Rugby is starting to develop here in Cambodia for women as well.
Valkyries, the mighty, mighty Valkyries!
And allows us to overcome incredible obstacles.
It's just got so thick. It's just so thick here. Now it's pouring down rain again.
But coming to this Thai-Cambodia border has renewed all the aggression.
So the whole thing's gone buggered. I got hit.
What?
I got tail-ended by a motorbike. I can just feel that knee, that ankle just going in all the wrong directions under the weight of my body. But that doesn't compare to the pain of failure.
I'm dying. Oh, I'm dying.
And that's what I've been worried about this whole time. We're out here, we're running out of energy, we're running out of money, and we're feeling isolated. And yet at that critical moment, friends, family, sometimes complete strangers come on board. Before you know it, we're back in the game. Tokyo, here we come!
Making a comeback. 4 weeks, 2,300 miles, 5 countries.
After all the trials and tribulations, this ride had become deeply personal. All that mattered now was getting to that Rugby World Cup game in Tokyo.
Yeah, buddy. All right. Be easy. Go check out redearthfilms.vhx.tv to get your copy of Singapore to Tokyo any way we can. That's redearthfilms.vhx.tv.
Like, hey, I don't know everything, but this is what I do know. And so, you know, what worked for me. And I remember at the beginning, sometimes the guys would be so used to it just being them that they would kind of forget about us sometimes. I was like, hey, wait a minute, we're over here. Kind of now to a point where we're one team. It's not like the men's and the women's. It's like we're men and women. So just, you know, giving them the knowledge that I know, and when I don't know something, asking questions or finding out the answer myself. And so, you know, it's hard because I was the first year there, we did have our coach Ashford. And so I kind of know the difference of what it looks like to have a coach versus to be, you know, more self-taught.
Right.
It was a hard change because it was very different. And, you know, we had some, you know, a little bit rock because, like, why should I
growing pains?
We're the same age, you know, stuff like like, okay, but still kind of transitioning to, hey, like, you know, we all want to win. We all have a goal in mind, just kind of trying to remind ourselves what the goal is and what we want to accomplish. And so that helps when, you know, when you kind of get into the rough patches. But just for ourselves, like, what the bigger goal is. It's bigger than just, you know, you or me. It's, you know, yeah, so.
No, I get that, you know, and that's what makes it interesting, and it also shows the level of commitment because when you have somebody who is, I guess, a tent pole and being able to learn, and you guys can connect, and then they have to go for whatever reason, it's such an adjustment change, and then for you, you're still learning literally in the process too. So you're trying to lead while learn while also trying to keep up with everything else, and then obviously you still work with the guys. So you're trying to make sure you guys aren't forgotten along the way, and you guys are interconnected in. So that's a really heavy amount of balancing that you have to do in there. You know, when you were looking, do you find yourself like in the middle of the day just looking at different rugby like practice lessons and stuff like that?
For sure. I remember having to go in, and I remember I used to get like the terms mixed up a little bit, and I would go on Google, I'd be like, Google, what is this? What I'm talking about before I tell people the wrong answer, or I would go to Raheem and be like, is that right? I was like, wrong answer. Or, you know, just watching film and just looking at my position or just a whole game and just being like, okay, that's what it's supposed to look like. Not only, and then implementing what I would see in film of like, you know what, instead of running, you know, right to left, I'm going to work on, you know, having a goal of running straight, or, you know, making this play or doing this, or, you know, just implementing what I saw and trying to get that more physical and, you know, on the field, and just making sure that I implement what I saw on the screen. And,
No, and that's, you know, man, and look, legitimately, I give you so much credit for that because, again, one of the hardest things that we find when it comes to trying to create teams is having a person like yourself who is like, can be a centerpiece, who not only is there, but is willing, is consistently there. The consistency becomes everything to it. So I hope you give yourself as much of the applause and praise on your back as you deserve, because I'll let you know it's being given from over here. You absolutely deserve, as well as the rest of the team. But right now I'm talking to you, so I'm giving you the praise, because I've seen, like I said, the energy that you guys have whenever I saw you guys at the house is spectacular. Like, it really feels really interconnected between everything. You know, let me ask, what is it that you plan on doing after you graduate?
Yeah, so like I mentioned before, I actually had an internship. I'm going to have it again this summer. We're actually doing it virtual, but I do teaching with Freedom School, and I've just been, you know, doing that, bulking up my resume because I genuinely enjoy it. I love my kids. I love working with them, and just me, actually, it's what made me want to change my major in the first place, minoring in education, because seeing my kids, because it went from me just wanting to bulk up my resume to this is actually
being inspired.
Yes. And the kind of program that it is, it's very inclusive from, you know, no matter what you look like, no matter where you come from, you know, me and my two-toned hair and 15 piercings, I can be who I am. I don't have to, you know, change what I look like.
Nice.
To be a leader, or, you know, to teach, or, you know, teaching kids. Because I never had a Black teacher professor until I came to PV.
PBMU.
I was old until I had a teacher of color. And so just wanting that for my kids and have that representation and inclusiveness that I never got, even though I'm only 22, but I never got that inclusiveness, you know. And I talked to my grandmother and my mom, and seeing the similarities of, like, you know, the same issues, and trying to stop that, you know, generational, you know, where people don't love school and it becomes a chore. Because I know that for me, school even sometimes now, it became a chore. It's not something that I wanted to do or even pursue higher education. because I never got that, someone to level with me to make me enjoy or coming to school, period.
Right.
Seeing that program made me really want to be like, you know what, I can be the change that I want to see. Right. And so people don't have to go through what I went through, or, what most of us go through, and having that period of time where we just really hate going to school, like,
right.
Or so just wanting to do that, and of seeing my kids because I have ages 3rd from 6th grade. That's my age group.
And that's a really heavy developmental age group right there. What is that? 9 to 12?
Yeah. 11, 12. And so and I had actually my first year I had middle school. So that was a whole other.
Ooh, you dealing with too much change. Like, yo.
Gosh, I was like, most of y'all are taller than me. Please. Man, I was like, miss this. I was like, why'd they put me here? I was just like I'm y'all's age. Like, I don't. And so I remember just having that. It was very, very eye-opening for me. I was just like, I can do this. Like, I remember being like, I couldn't ever be a teacher. It's not necessarily about you can't do this. It's just, if it's your calling, that's what you're meant to be.
Right.
And so just me getting excited to go to work, because I'm not a morning person. But me being up at 7 a.m. ready to sing songs and play, I was like, who am I? Even my mom
who is this person? I don't recognize this. I mean, it's cool, but what?
I want her back. Why is she so smiley in the morning? Because like our program is built off of like, games, songs, and
right.
Cheers and chants like early in the morning. And it really is an experience. So just seeing all of it translate into my personality and just how it all connects. Like, even I remember I had a whole thing with my kids talking about rugby.
Yeah.
That's so cool, miss. I'm gonna play rugby too. I was like, and I remember one day I brought my ball out at recess and we were throwing the ball around. I was like, this is so cool. I felt special because I was like, are y'all gonna play rugby? They're like, yes. I was like, are y'all gonna go to Prairie View? They're like, yes.
Yes.
A little bit of brainwashing in there, but
hey, look, it's okay. It's okay. Look, you inoculate these kids properly, all right? This is what your job is to do. You get their minds ready for the best thing, and that's what happens.
A little bit of brainwashing, but the good.
No, but that's legitimately awesome, because and then now all of it makes a lot more sense as to how you've been able to work so well within this rugby field, because that level of adoration for teaching and being able to create different presentations of things that people will love, but being able to reposition the perspective for them to actually see it as less of a let me just listen and a task that we're just going to go through to we can participate in this. This is something that I engage in and I'm actually feeling, which is a completely different, because a lot of us are experiential learners as opposed to listening, and very rarely are we all just like sit back and let somebody else do the work. That doesn't really sit for us. It just goes through. So whenever you talk about like, the arduousness of going to class, like I completely understand that. Like you're just like, all right, well, I got to do it to do it, but not really inspired.
Agree, I guess I'll go.
Yeah, right. And it's even interesting because most of the time, especially after we graduate, whenever we start doing something, like even whenever I started doing all this rugby stuff, this is probably the most lesson learning that I've done over these years than I did any time during school. Like school might have set a basis of maybe how to learn and test and stuff, but really actually diving in, you're doing it yourself, but you're doing it because of the fact that you're positioned because you want to execute it. You found a purpose for it. And so it kind of like sinks in, and now you have no issue with doing the work. It can hurt a little bit because anything that's good is a struggle, but you know that you want to push through and get more and more out of that.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely was more on the fence about, having an e-port petition. Actually, we had a new voting a couple days ago, actually. So now I'm the vice president. So
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
From just like, I just maybe want to play to president. I was like, this is a lot of pressure. And just having that support from my team when they nominated me, of them being like, we don't have to vote, we know who we want, was very humbling. And I had just so much gratitude, that fact that they just wanted me in that position, without being asked. So I was just very like, kind of like taken back a little bit, like, y'all really like want me in position. On the position to begin with, but it's all the work, blood, sweat, and tears that go into everything, fundraising, just putting so much into everything we do, and then the payoff. We didn't win or whatever. It was the fact that we went out.
Played.
Yeah.
You guys came to play.
It was our first game. I was just like, y'all, I'm so proud of y'all. Like the fact that, like, most girls would even come out, let alone make the big tackles that we made. And I was just very grateful for the opportunity, just because we hadn't had a game, and just to be like, we got a taste, and now we want more. So
and that's all. And look, let's not even take away the fact, not only did you guys tackle, you guys scored too. Like, you guys got some speed on that team. Like, y'all got some real, like, natural talent on that team to be able to play, and you guys organized well. You guys moved the ball well. Like, I'm sitting here watching the tapes because I have to put these things up online, and it's like, yo, you guys were really – actually, I know Stephen Lewis from Rugby United Rugby United New York, the pro team, the general manager. He was asking me, he was like, yo, I'm trying to look for the PVMU women's tape. This is like – because I think – Mason, because he works with the Caribbean teams with Jamaica, so he's like trying to see if any of you guys are there. So just let you know, people have been watching. People were out there looking for what you guys are going to do, and you guys stepped up in terms of gameplay. And like I said, first time being able to get a real game, first time being able to really get that hunger strikes out, and a really tough team in Roots, and even with Louisiana Lanyard, like they're club teams. So the step up in everything. I know I'm praising you guys a lot, but I'm not going to stop, because I really don't. I want you guys to know how much it was a phenomenal, a unique, historic thing that you guys have done, and what it sets as a ripple effect. Because even with what's happening now at Howard University, you guys are now a standard set for that. Let me ask you this, and I kind of wind it down, and I got two questions primarily. The first one is, as I know every university is an experience, and it has a different feeling out of itself. But, as a person who has now watched and led a team, a group of women, a group of players, a group of family into this rugby world, and now there's going to be more HBCUs, especially they're going to probably come and ask you, even if you continue playing. For you, what is one piece of advice that you would give to these other HBCUs whenever dealt with some of the obstacles that they'll deal with when putting together a rugby team, particularly a women's rugby team? What is something that you would suggest, or multiple things, however you feel? It's up to you.
My biggest thing would probably just be, don't give up. Whether you feel like there's a lack of dedication or commitment, or just, when you feel like people aren't giving, 100% or 110%, just don't give up, because you have to be the change you want to see. So a lot of the times you have to, be that leader, or, show what you want to see within people. And then it's like, eventually they will follow. And it is harder at an HBCU trying to get those numbers, especially with women, and especially with a sport that's not as known, and trying to convince people, young adults, to learn a whole nother sport. It's a lot. So I just would push not giving up, and even with the lack of commitment or dedication, just really push yourself, and just, pushing your team of being the change and being what you want to be on and off the field.
No, I love that. And then the second question for you is, I want you to sell Prairie View A&M, because one thing that we know, especially with what you saw with Memphis Inner City Rugby and Dallas Youth Rugby, and there's even more ISF and everybody who's looking for these HBCUs. Tell them why they need to go to Prairie View A&M.
I've got a couple reasons, but I think my biggest thing is that, like I said, Prairie View isn't just a university. It's not just, somewhere to attend for 4 years, you dip out. There's so many walks of life. Yes, it's an HBCU. Yes, it's mostly Black people, but the matter of personalities of where people come from and what they look like is so different, because sometimes I'd be nervous as me and, me myself, of kind of feeling, not, really fitting in a box, not only just of how I look because, of being, I'm also Puerto Rican. So kind of feeling like, in the kind of like
that middle ground.
And so kind of growing up and people being like, what are you? And like that kind of like, going from, okay, cool. Like, being like a big, to do or big talk. And so just, even though there's mostly Black and brown people, seeing diversity in terms of personality and just, and even if, just people being very accepting of, different people and just the support, of, hey, I tell people that I don't even know that well, be like, hey, I have this thing. And they're like, okay, I'll be there.
Nice.
And they're like, just actually show up. And I remember I had spoke to like people I played volleyball with. I probably saw them 2 or 3 times. I asked them to come to a fundraiser and a thing for rugby. They came. So it's just like it's more than just university for me. And going from me being super hesitant / not even really wanting to go to this is where I belong. This is my tribe. I enjoy it here. I'm happy where I am. And just me loving Prairie View as much as I do. And it's not, super big university, but I feel like for me, it's just right because I know the way I learn, I can't learn in a classroom of 40, 50 students.
Right.
I know I cannot. So just having the smaller classrooms, just the dedication from, I've had some really great professors, especially over COVID, that has been like, how can I help you? I'd be like, hey, I'm struggling with this. How can I help you? And just, even my freshman year, my LCC in housing, he was super helpful. When I had a question, like I said earlier, he would go with me. He'd be like, what can I help you with? Okay. Anything else? My pals, my freshman year, even when I would see them around, they would say, hi, how are you? Like, check in. They would text me, like, just really just not only because I have to or it's my job to, it's because they want to. So I think that was different because I've never really gotten that somewhere like at school. It was kind of like, even in high school, like if you sink, you sink. If you fail, you fail.
Wow.
I'm going to tell you, And so just always being told in college, that they'll let you fail their and kind of being a little bit more than I was expecting was really heartwarming.
No, I love that. I love that. It's one thing, again, college for me was about finding that community. Not to say that it was a bad experience in high school or anything, but there's a difference of knowing that you find your personality in a place where you, and then know that there's people who will put their arms around you.
Right.
It sets everything.
Yeah, and then TV, it's also a different vibe because I was never used to like people really holding doors for me. And so it was just like guys would hold doors and be like, I just want you to know you look really nice today and I hope you have a pleasant day. And just go, I'm just like, they don't do this in Austin. Like, I'm not used to this.
No.
It's really nice. Like, or like at night, like people will be like, do you need like a ride home? Like, do you need me to walk with you? Like, I remember I had a classmate, we had a class that was a little bit later in the day. We would all walk, like just, walk together and just like people who would actually genuinely care about
just make sure you get safe.
Yeah. And like, even though Prairie View's not the biggest campus, it's still a feeling like tight knit of like, what do you need? Like, what can I do to help?
No, I love that. I absolutely love that. That, man, that makes me almost want to be like, all right, let me go get my grad school over there.
Our biggest motto is Prairie View produces productive people. So, if you want to be a productive Panther, come to Prairie View.
Let's go. That's a sale right there. Let's go.
Man, I'm a business major.
This might be part of your thing.
My mom might kill me if I change my major again, so never mind.
Look, it all works. It all works together. Oh, Karimah, I want to thank you so much. And like I said, you know, I love what you guys have been doing. I love even getting to know more about you. Now it's more than just a text person that you know, that checks in. By the way, big kudos. I really appreciated how much you checked in. It made a lot of things a lot easier for me so I could keep a track. So just let you know, you were never annoying at any point in time. At any point in time. I was like, thank you. Because I don't know.
I'm forgetful, so I'm like, you know what? I would forget something like this, so let me say a quick reminder.
Check it in. It all helps because in those moments, because setting it up in my mind, there's like 3 million things I'm going through in my head at any one moment, and so I'm just like, okay, we have this, we have this. Do I have any help for this one? Do we get this? And thankfully, you know, there were people who helped me in this in the back end. But I'm an egoist, so I stupidly tried to do this on my own again, and I shall never do that because I don't need that kind of stress in my life again. But you know, whenever you have people who are dedicated to making sure that everything is good and that they're getting what they need and appreciate it, so it let me know how to be able to maneuver and everything like that. So again, I can't wait to see or hear about what your future with the kids and teaching, and see you become the next teacher of the year, setting up the standard for the next kids and generation of rugby people going to PVMU and all that. Well, look, let me ask you, where can people find out more about Prairie View A&M Women's Rugby?
Right now, we don't have a website, but they can definitely email me. They can text me. I'm very, you know, I might not text right back, but I'll text back as soon as I can if you have any questions. But yeah, definitely email me. You can email, we actually have a new president now. You can get his contact information. And I can, if you want me to send that to you, you can link it.
Of course.
If you have any questions, feel free, hit me up. We love to have new members. We love, you know, any coaches out there who, you know, willing to come to Little Prairie View, Texas. We would love to have you. So, yeah.
Yo, I love it. We need you guys to hurry get the Facebook page up. Like you got video now. Get the Facebook page up. Right. Now.
Our social media check, because I think we have Twitter.
Okay. Get the Facebook page up as well too, and the Instagram. Like literally, just you got to hit the big three.
All of them.
Oh, hit the big three. You know, after that, it's all up in the air. But you hit those big three, you guys are gonna be found 24/7. I told this to Rashad, who's the founder for North Carolina A&T. I was like, Rashad, just get the. You might not have to do anything. You might not update it recently, but if you have it, at least it gives people a stamp of you're alive. Apparently, you only exist once social media knows you exist.
Right. If you don't have social media, you don't exist.
Say that again?
I said if you don't have social media, you just practice.
Exactly. You just in the black hole. Are you even real?
Right. Yeah.
But Karimah, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Karimah. You are awesome. Thank you guys so much for listening and taking the time. If you guys want to be able to see more, we got a great episodes. Last week we spoke to the hilarious, the awesome Akinola Raymond. The week before that we had Kirill Guthrie. Even before that we had Marquise Goodwin. We've had such great people. Erica Mori of Italy Rugby, Robert Perry, head coach and founder for Curaçao Rugby, Nicolette Pantor, captain for Trinidad and Tobago, Jess Nielsen, head coach for York University and former Canada national team player, Keisha-Ann Downs, the vice president for Jamaica Rugby, who's in the repechage in June. Trying to play in for the Olympic bid. Low-key, I'm rooting for them on both the women and the men's side, as well as Zimbabwe. You guys can actually see my video about that on GiftTime Rugby Network. And so many people. Katie Sadlier, Naya Tapper, Tiara Mack, Tiffany Faye, Georgie Koda, Kamani Davis, Tiana and Kyle Granby, Derek Lipskin, Pat Evans, Kelly Smith, like so many amazing people that we've had the pleasure of talking to and just giving so many diamonds and just dropping all the treasure troves out there. So I hope you guys get a chance to enjoy it, but most importantly, I hope that you guys are happy. I hope that you guys are healthy, And I hope that you absolutely 1000% know that you are highly favored. Till next time, cheers.